What's up, guys? It's Axis here, going over the new hero in Gunfire Reborn, Lei Luo. I made a video the other day that was pretty much just some gameplay that I had of a crazy build that I managed to get with him. It seemed to get some attention, so I figured I'd make another one and give more of an overview of the new character so you guys can understand him a little bit better. Lei Luo is pretty interesting. He's more focused on sniping or his lightning abilities. There's a couple of pretty insane combos you can really get with him, so I'll go over a little bit of that. For now, we're going to go ahead and jump into the skills. So his primary ability is called Fatal Current. It's got a 10.5 second cooldown on it. He activates an electric current hidden under his tattoos, pretty much increases his movement speed by 30% and his skill damage by 50%, and it lasts for 6 seconds. If you shoot and hit an enemy while it's active, it ends the ability, but your shot will deal 200% more damage and also cause a lightning bolt to hit the enemy and deal 1200 damage. This is a really cool skill because there's a lot of awesome ways to use this ability depending on the Ascensions you take and the way you want to build the character and what you get offered to you. His secondary ability is called Chain Lightning, which does exactly what you think it would. You pretty much launch a lightning bolt at the enemy, it deals 750 damage, then that bolt will bounce between two nearby enemies. It starts off with a skill capacity of 8. This is a super cool ability if you really stack some Ascensions and your scrolls around it, because it pretty much allows you to just run around like Palpatine and just shock everything to death. As with the other characters in this game, he's got 5 unlockable talents to make him even stronger. The first one you can get for him makes any elites or bosses that you kill drop an extra sniper rifle on top of anything else that they drop. This is super cool because it makes it really easy to get a good sniper roll that you like. His second talent lets you pick an extra talent when you start your run. These aren't really like Ascensions or anything like that. They're custom talents that only he can get, and you get to pick a new one each time you do a new run, which is pretty cool. His third one makes his primary ability, Fatal Current, last 1 second longer and have 2 seconds taken off the cooldown, which makes it last for 7 seconds and only have an 8.5 second cooldown, which is pretty cool. The fourth one, it restores 50% of your total secondary ability capacity when your shield breaks. So if you are running around shocking stuff, something hits you real hard and you lose your shields, you'll get half of whatever your current capacity is for your chain lightning ability back, which is really cool because that can actually save your ass at certain times. The final talent he has is also really cool, especially if you don't really have the greatest aim or if you're fighting really annoying enemies that have hard to hit weak points. It gives you a 50% chance to land a critical hit that has 70% of your current weapon's crit X, even if you don't hit their weak point. You have to be using a sniper rifle for that one, but that's still super cool. So that brings us on to his Ascensions, which is actually where this character really shines and gets to be a lot of fun. There's a lot of really cool synergies and things like that with his Ascensions. So we'll go ahead and do a quick overview on his different Ascension abilities, and I'll kind of describe a little bit after that, like which ones really mix well to make really cool builds. Alright, so first off, we got Magical Supply. Once Thunderstrike kills the enemy, the ammo consumed will be recovered and Fatal Current will be launched. However, minus 25% duration for this Fatal Current, down to 2 seconds. So pretty much what that is Thunderstrike is the lightning bolt that comes down when you shoot an enemy while you're using Fatal Current. So if you kill an enemy with that lightning bolt, the shot you fired will be refunded back to you, and it'll also restart your Fatal Current ability, but it'll have 25% less duration each time it restarts, and it'll keep doing that until it gets down to 2 seconds, which is the minimum. But as long as you can keep shooting and killing enemies with Thunderstrike within that 2 seconds, it'll still just keep restarting, which is actually pretty cool. Next up's Thunder Turbo. Receive 1 layer of Thunder Turbo after killing an enemy with a critical hit. Receive 2 layers of Thunder Turbo if you kill it with a Thunderstrike. And each layer of Thunder Turbo gives you plus 5% weapon and skill damage. You can stack up to 8 times. If you break your shield, though, you lose all your stacks. This is an upgradable one. Each level will increase the damage output by 5% with a max of 15% per stack. The last one actually also increases your crit damage 5% per stack as well, and makes it to where if your shield breaks, you only lose half the charges rather than all of them. Next up, Storm Blast. This one's pretty self-explanatory. Just a big increase in damage for Thunderstrike. Goes 150, then 225, and then 300. The third level also makes it a 100% chance to trigger a crit strike on Thunderstrike, so pretty much they all will just be criticals, which is actually pretty strong. Next up, we got Shadow Knight. This is a 30% weapon damage and skill damage increase as long as there's no enemies within 10 meters. Level 2 is 60% damage. Level 3 is 100% damage, and also makes it to where they only have to be 5 meters away for it to be on, which is pretty strong as well. It's just double damage as long as nobody's within 5 meters of you. Then we got Voltage Surge. Crit hit makes the enemy take plus 10% crit damage for 4 seconds. If your weapon's crit X is higher than 4x, then it's doubled, so it goes up from 10% to 20% instead. Level 2 goes 15% or 30%. Level 3 just goes up to 40% regardless of your weapon's crit X, and also lasts for 5 seconds rather than 4. And the last one for the weapon boost Ascensions is Eye of the Storm. It's a plus 15% up to 60% weapon damage for your sniper on the next hit to a same target after you've dealt damage with a sniper. So pretty much every subsequent hit you do on the same enemy with a sniper rifle, the damage will go up. First shot will be 15, then 30, then 45, then 60. If you get that to level 2, it's 25% per shot. Level 3 goes 50% per shot, up to a max of 150%. Alright, then on to the Thunder Roar Ascension tree, which are the ones that are going to be more focused around your Fatal Current. First one we got is Fulminous Zap. It's plus 200% damage of thunder summoned by Fatal Current and minus 80% movement speed of the enemy hit by the thunder for 0.2 seconds. So it's pretty much just makes the Thunderstrike or any of the lightning that's summoned during Fatal Current do 200% more damage, and also on impact, essentially, it'll slow them for a real brief amount of time. The subsequent levels increase the damage and the time that they're slowed, so it goes 2 to 300, then to 400. Time goes from 0.2, 0.3 to 0.4. Additionally, on the third level, you inflict an additional 50% damage on an enemy affected by shock effect. So if they're under shock elemental effect, they'll take an additional 50% damage on top of that 400% damage increase, which is pretty big. Next up is Thunder Nemesis. When casting Fatal Current, summon the thunder to strike on 3 random enemies within 20 meters. So pretty much this is just whenever you activate your Fatal Current, it'll shock 3 enemies that are within 20 meters of you. It does a pretty good amount of damage, and usually in the beginning of the game, it's enough to one-shot most things. On the subsequent levels on that one, level 2, it hits 4 enemies within 25 meters, and then 3, you can pretty much get it to just strike a random enemy every 2 seconds when you're not in Fatal Current. So just at any time, every 2 seconds, it'll constantly just strike an enemy. And then when you do cast Fatal Current, it'll be on 6 enemies within 25 meters. So it's pretty powerful, actually. Moving on to the next one, it's Voltaic Aegis. It's another stacking ability. You get 1 stack of it every 4 seconds, and you also gain 1 during Fatal Current each second. Every stack of that increases your max shield by 5 and offers 10% damage reduction. Can stack up to 3 times. Every time you get hit, though, you lose 1 stack. Leveling that up increases the shield amount and the damage reduction. So at level 3, you get 20 max shield and 20% damage reduction up to 3 times, and you lose a stack every time you take damage. But you also, during Fatal Current on that third one, you get it every 0.6 seconds instead of every second. Next up is Heart of Battle. This lowers the cooldown of your Fatal Current every time you get a critical kill. Starts off at 0.5 second cooldown reduction every critical kill, goes up to 1.5, and then also at level 3, the 1.5, it also refill 50% of your secondary every time you get a critical kill as well. So that pretty much just guarantees that you'll always have your lightning strike as well. Lightning Governor is the next one. This one is during your Fatal Current. You inflict Chain Lightning every 1 second around you on an enemy within 20 meters, but it has 2 less bounces than normal. Level 2, it's got 1 less bounce than normal, and it's every 0.85 seconds that it casts. And then on 3rd level, you get it every 0.7 seconds, and if it kills an enemy, then your duration of Fatal Current gets increased by 1 second. So pretty much as long as you're killing an enemy, it'll just keep refreshing the duration on your Fatal Current and just keep shocking everything around you. This is actually one of my favorite abilities that this character has, if you can get to the 3rd level of it. And the last Thunder Roar ability is Bolt from the Blue. Your Fatal Current offers additional 50% skill damage while it's active, and during which every shock effect that you trigger summons Thunder to strike on the enemy. So if you hit somebody with a shock element, it'll cause the Thunder Strike to hit them. So that actually stacks up pretty well with some of the other stuff that increases that damage. Moving on now to the Lightning Strike tree. This is all about your Chain Lightning ability. The first one on this is Lightning from Void. It's a chance to trigger Chain Lightning by getting a critical hit. Your trigger probability is related to your crit X, and you can have the Chain Lightning hit once per second at the most. I don't know the exact formula of what the probability is versus your crit X, but usually if you're using a sniper, it's pretty common to be causing Chain Lightning to hit. So that's a pretty cool one as well. Then you got Hyper Current. This is plus 100% Chain Lightning damage at level 1, 200% at level 2, 300% at level 3, and then also at level 3, once it hits, it does all the bounces. After the last bounce, it bounces back to the first target that you hit with it and deals extra damage based on how many times that bolt bounced. Next is Electric Circuit. Chain Lightning connects all affected targets together and completes a circuit. The next time you hit one of those targets, you do 40% of the damage to all of the ones connected to them. So pretty much it makes a chain. So anybody that your Chain Lightning hits and bounces to, they all get connected together. And then if you hit one of those enemies, the other ones take 40% of the damage that target's taking as well. Level 2 goes up to 70% of the damage. And then 3 goes up to 100% of the damage to all the targets. And it also does not void your previous connects anymore. So you can cast Chain Lightning multiple times and hit all of the enemies at once at 100% damage, which is actually really nice. Moving on to Thunderbolt Converter. This one gives 10% weapon damage on your next hit every time Chain Lightning inflicts damage, up to 40% weapon damage. So if you hit with your Chain Lightning and it bounces and hits 4 people, then right there, that's 40% damage. Level 2 goes up to 20%, which then can be up to 80% when you get 4 people with it. Level 3, it's 100% and 40% lucky shot chance just for dealing damage. So instead of needing to hit multiple people, if you hit anybody with Chain Lightning at that point, you just get a flat 100% weapon damage and 40% lucky shot chance on your next hit. Next is Tesla Coil. This adds more bounces and max capacity for your Chain Lightning. So you get +2 to your capacity and your bounce at first level, +3 bounce, and +4 max capacity at second level. And level 3, you get +4 bounces and +6 max capacity. And if it shocks an enemy, you get 1 more usage immediately. So it'll refund essentially one of your uses if it causes a shock effect. That's actually a really strong ability when you mix with some of the other stuff. And here it is, the last Ascension. You guys made it to the end of it. It's Supercharge. This makes it to where every enemy you hit, whenever you deal damage with Chain Lightning, essentially, it recharges 3 shield. So if it bounces between all these people, everybody that it hits, that's 3 shield from each one that it hits. Level 2 goes up to 4. Level 3 goes up to 6. And then if it kills the enemy, your shield will start recharging immediately. So those are all the Ascensions. Hopefully that explains some of that. And I know the text in this game can be a little confusing at times the way it's worded. So hopefully that helps out with understanding some of the Ascensions on there and what they really do. So one of my favorite combos with these Ascensions that I've done so far is to mix Lightning Governor, which is where when you activate Fatal Current, you randomly start Chain Lightning enemies. I like to get that ability with Hyper Current, which increases your chain lightning damage, as well as Tesla Coil, which is the one that increases how many times it bounces in your max capacity, and then Supercharge, which recharges your shield. If you can get the Lightning Governor up to 3 and then get some Hyper Current and Tesla Coil going, you literally can just activate Fatal Current and just run through the map, and it'll just shock everybody around you, and it'll mostly 1 or 2 shot everything. So it'll just keep adding a second of time onto your Fatal Current. So you pretty much just stay in Fatal Current as long as there's enemies around. And it wrecks through everything. If you haven't seen my gameplay video that I had put up the other day, that was the build that I had running in that video, was a mix of those abilities. If you haven't seen it, check it out. I'll link it and put it up in the corner of the screen somewhere as well. But that is a really, really cool build that I've done with this character, and it works very well. One of the other really fun combos that I've done, that's pretty much just as effective, is to get Magical Supply, which is the one that makes, if your Thunderstrike kills an enemy, it refunds your ammo and resets your Fatal Current. Get that mixed with Storm Blast, which increases your Thunderstrike damage. Fulminous Zap, which increases the damage of thunder summoned by Fatal Current. And then Thunder Nemesis, which when you cast it, it thunder strikes up to 3 to 6 targets, depending on what level you have that ability at when you launch Fatal Current. Getting the 4 of those mixed together is really, really good because it makes your Thunderstrike do enough damage to pretty much one-shot anybody. And because when you get a kill, it resets, you can pretty much just get anything that has a high fire rate and just aim at the head of anybody and just mow through, and it'll just keep Thunderstriking everybody that you shoot and pretty much one-shotting all of them. So it's another really effective build that I've found that just clears out entire maps of enemies really quickly. So that's pretty much all I got for you right now on this new character. If I find any other really crazy mixtures or builds that I happen to get when I'm running through, I'll try and make an update, maybe do another little video to show that off. And maybe I'll try and do some more gameplay videos of these builds in action. Hopefully you enjoyed this overview and you got a little bit better an idea of who this character is and how he works and just how to run this character in general. If you did like this video and you did learn something, please go ahead and give it a like, subscribe, share it, show other people that you know that play Gunfire. This is a fairly new channel, and I'm not super good with editing, so I apologize if the editing on this video is just absolutely horrible. But thank you for sticking through it, and leave some suggestions about what you want to see next. If it's for Gunfire, cool. If it's for other games, leave the suggestions, and I'll see if I can get around to making something cool for you. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. Have a good one, and